All right, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining Exploratory Online Seminar number 76. Today, I'd like to present BI and dashboard, how you can create this type of environment flexibly and collaboratively with Exploratory. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kan Nishida, CEO at Exploratory. We started Exploratory 2016 spring to democratize data science. We mainly build Exploratory as a data science tool to make it easy to access to the various types of data science functionalities. Our vision is data-informed decisions for everybody. So, anybody should be able to use their own data or, data from somewhere else, but may get informed and then make better decisions. And to do what we're really focusing on is democratizing data science, so anybody can use it as if like Excel or iPhone or that type of tool. So same thing, like we want to actually get rid of the world data science to the point like it becomes so normal. And when we say data science, it's really like you have the business questions to answer. So like you want to access the data. Sorry. And then you want to clean or transform the data so that you can visualize or analyze with various statistical or machine learning algorithms. And then like once you find useful insights, then you can make better decisions or take some actions. But in the most cases, like you work with other stakeholders or partners and clients or managers, and also so you need to communicate what you have found. So like that piece of the communication is also the important part of the data science workflow. So Exploratory provides a modern and simple UI to do these 5 things: data access, data wrangling, visualization, analytics, and communication. And that's the Exploratory is. Okay. With that, so let me just hold a sec. I'm gonna move this somehow to toolbar at the top. Okay. All right. Okay, then let's get back. Let's get into the main thing for today. Exploratory online seminar number 76, BI and dashboard, how you can deliver successful BI and dashboard projects flexibly and collaboratively with Exploratory. So agenda, I want to touch on these 6 points. I'm going to start with a quick introduction to the dashboard, what the kind of dashboard you can create with Exploratory. And then I'm going to move on to a data wrangling, visualization, and analysis. And then towards the end, I like to cover the reporting automation and collaboration. Let's start with a quick introduction to dashboard in Exploratory. So these are the 5 things I think it's like a key things for why you want to build a dashboard in a sense of like building or designing a dashboard itself. So first, you can create a dashboard very flexibly and very quickly, but it's really is, you can bring in various types of contents. So for example, at the top here is like a KPI. So you can build this type of a KPI or measures or metrics or numbers, and then you can bring that in the dashboard. And also you can bring in text for annotation or comments. And then you can use formatting capability to add the hyperlink or even bring the images or bullet points and fonts, emphasis, and so on. And also, not just the charts. This one looks like a charts, but actually these 2 charts are coming from analytics. So of course, you can bring in a chart, various types of charts in the dashboard, but also you can bring any visualization from the analysis you use, for example, time series forecasting and so on. Second point is multiple data sources. So like once you like when you have like one single dashboard, but some charts or some numbers might be coming the data coming from different data sources. Maybe the Google Sheet, maybe the Google BigQuery, or MySQL or Salesforce and so on. But you can bring all of them in the dashboard. So it's very flexible in that sense. And speaking of flexible, you can flexibly design the layout. You can choose either like you want to use a row layout or you want to use a column layout. Depends on like your needs. And also in an either way, like you can bring in this something called number row. This is actually pretty cool because sometimes like you open this dashboard in a bigger screen or smaller screen. So based on that, these charts they change the sizes to automatically adapt to the window size. But then this part is like a number, like a metrics or KPI part. You don't really want to become kind of like inflated. So for that, like you can actually use something called number row. So in that anyway, like you can flexibly design your dashboard layout. Also, if you might have like tons of information to present, in that case, you can create multiple pages so that like you can have like sort of categorize what are the informations or insights in any particular agenda. The number 4 is a parameter. This will provide more like interactive experience for your dashboard. So you can create the parameters and then put that in either the data wrangling step or the charts itself. And then then dashboard, you don't really need to do anything. That's actually the beauty of the parameter for dashboard. When you design a dashboard, whatever the parameter you actually define or use for the charts or data wrangling, automatically add it to the dashboard. So only thing you need to do at the dashboard level is changing the order or the layout side of things. And this is actually relatively new features, or I mean, like with the latest release, is that you can click on any part of the chart or pivot table, summarize table, or map to show the detail data or the data behind that particular cell or block. Okay, so these are the 5 things. I think it's really you can build a dashboard very flexibly in a sense of like a layout, but also by bringing the parameter and this show detail capability, you can make this dashboard as more interactive as well. And these screenshots are in the desktop, but obviously, like I'm going to cover this part, but like you can publish your dashboard to the Exploratory server so that you can invite others and have them access your dashboard and then provide an interactive experience as well. Okay, so that's a quick introduction to dashboard. And then from here, why Exploratory actually is a great way for you to deliver successful BI and a dashboard projects. I think it's number 1, the data wrangling. So let's get started with this one. So let's say like, hey, I want to create the dashboard like this, or whatever the dashboard, and then you spend some time, and then you ended up, creating a nicely looking dashboard, right? And then again, okay, so like how long does it take? And if somebody asks you, and then like you maybe like, oh, it's easy, like 1 hour, or maybe like 3 days, 1 week, it depends on like how complicated behind that dashboard. So let's say like it takes like 1 day for building the dashboard. So the time spent on creating dashboard is like 24 hours or something. But in reality, if you have ever built the dashboard or designed that, created dashboard, you know that it's actually creating a dashboard itself is the easiest part of this whole dynamics. It's mostly like time spent on creating charts inside the dashboard. When you have the 5 charts, each chart takes some time to create it in including the format and layout and so on. But if you have ever created charts, it's actually the most of the time spent on the creating chart is not the chart itself. It's actually the data part, like how you prepare the data, how you clean up the data to get the charts that like you want to see, right? So time spent on data wrangling is actually really the main part of not just creating a chart, but also creating a dashboard. So in order to deliver the successful BI and dashboard projects in a quickly manner, then you really need to get this sort of like elephant in the room problem to be solved, right? So Exploratory actually was from the day one was really designed to provide the most optimal and the best environment for doing the data wrangling. So basically, like there's so many various things you can do, so many data wrangling operations you can do, but all of them can be accessed from this thing called column header menu. And then once you access it, and then you know what are the things you can do. So for example, typical problem, like I'm going to go 3 or 4 typical problems like you encounter in that data wrangling, although probably there are hundreds of many problems. But then for example, something like this, okay, this like each row is like each company, and it looks like the investor's name on the most right-hand side column. But this one, it's comma separated, and there are sometimes the 2 values, sometimes 3 values, sometimes 4 values. And then let's say like I want to create a chart to show like how many investors are in total, and then I want to just kind of use a bar chart to compare like which investors are more than the others. And I can't do it with this data. So what are you going to do? Well, luckily you can actually transform into rows by selecting something called separate. And then we not separating the columns or separating rows, but in this case, separating rows, what that means is that now each word or comma separated term becomes each row. So that means each row get kind of duplicated. However, if you're focusing on creating a chart for the investors, then this actually is a great solution. So that because you can now count as investor by as a rows or something as a number of rows. Another problem, this happens often, especially if you get the data from like as an Excel spreadsheet or something, and somebody already did some kind of pivot table in the Excel. So like you get this data, and then typical BI tools, you get stuck where this is. Because in this case, each year is now represented as a column. So let's say that if you have 40 years of data, that means you have the 40 columns. This one makes it harder to visualize, because when you want to visualize, let's say the trend, of the particular measures throughout the years, but then like when you go to the x-axis, and then you see like all you see is like a bunch of like years. So in this case, you want to transform the data from something called wide data to long data. Wide is like more like horizontal way, long is kind of vertical. And you can transform by, again, selecting this menu called gather from the column header menu. Once you transform from wide data to long data, then now I can go back to the chart, and then all you need to do is just selecting the year and then selecting the measure. And then like you get that trend chart. Another problem is this is also like very, very often most of the people encounter is it's kind of like a name seems to be the same, but somehow like somebody entering the customer name, for example, in a different way. Just imagine like this is like a SoftBank, but a SoftBank Group, SoftBank Corp, SoftBank Capital. The people who are collecting data keep entering the different ways. But we want to count this as a SoftBank so that like we can understand like how many companies this SoftBank is investing, right? So like we want to count. We just want to count, right? So in that case, you can actually same thing, select the text wrangling from the column header menu, but this UI will provide you the simple and more intuitive and experimental experience so that you can step by step see like what what are the things that like you can do to clean up the text data. And then last not least, but is like a join, meaning like basically like you want to bring 2 data sets together. Like I said in the dashboard, like you can bring data from various different data sources. That means sometimes like you want to merge data or join data so that like you can actually present this different perspective or more like enrich insights. So join is really bringing the columns from the different data frame or data set. Merge is bringing the different bringing the rows from other data frames. So either way you can do it. And then, for example, the join, you have again the UI, so you can see how that data looks like by doing a join. And also another thing is like a merge, and you can select multiple data frames at once and then bring all the data together. Okay, and this scenario is particularly like useful, like when you sometimes like you keep getting the Excel spreadsheet for like January and February, March in a different times, then like you kind of you keep adding those data every month as it goes, and then but you can merge them together so that you can see the trend of your sales, for example, throughout the years. Okay. Um, so those are the things that we have seen are really what you can do, right? But what you can do is important for like in data wrangling, what problems you can solve. But other important things, I think this is really the key, is what kind of environment, how you can do those things, right? So the three critical features for doing a data wrangling for sort of like not just a short term, but for the long term, which is transparency and readability and diagnosability. I think these three things are very important to make your data wrangling is more efficient. First, every single data wrangling operation you do gets automatically recorded on the right-hand side. So you can see what you have done. And this is very important. Just imagine like if you're using Excel and you're just kind of cleaning up the data or something like that. And then maybe like, a couple hours later, or maybe even a couple days later, you have no idea what you actually have done exactly where and how, right? So Exploratory, you see all the stuff on the right-hand side, so that you can actually see later, hey, what did I do? Maybe like I don't need this, or I can update and so on, right? So and then you can click on any step later at a later time, and then you can open to see what you have done or what others have done, and then you can update it if necessary, or you can even delete or disable and so on. And then you can visually check what you have done is what you expected. This is important. Like you just done something, and then in a table format, you can see like, oh, a new column is being added, or like white data being transformed to wrong data. But sometimes you want to see like, hey, again, I'm basically creating a category based on some numerical values, and then am I getting the the expected groups, or maybe not, or something like that. So you have the summary view. It's always generated for each step. So you do that data wrangling, and then you can check visually, and this will help you, like, what you're doing is actually what you expected or not. And sometimes you see the column, and then you kind of forgot, or somebody created this, and so you don't know like how this column was created. Well, in Exploratory, you can click on the particular column. This can be done in a summary view or table view, but then like all the related column, operations will be highlighted on the right-hand side. So you can see like, oh, okay, for example, this price, or something has done on this price, maybe like somebody added the numbers, or so on. So you can check those things at the right-hand side. And with these steps, actually really cool because you can create charts at any step. That means whatever the data chart you bring in a dashboard, this particular chart, for example, at the number at the top, 2,149, that might be coming from the first step of this whole data wrangling, or before any data wrangling is being done, or maybe like the particular chart might be coming from the particular step and so on. So that your dashboard is not just data coming from the various data sources, but also can come from various data wrangling steps within the same data frame. Okay, and then how you can choose that, how you can create a chart for any step, you can have this pin button set to any particular step. So one data frame, you might have 10 charts, and what's extreme use case, like those 10 charts might be coming from different data steps. And why that's important? Well, because sometimes you might want to aggregate the data. You can aggregate the data in the charts, but sometimes you want to aggregate the data in a data wrangling step. Or you want to transform from the wide data to long, or long to wide, or something like that. So the format of the data can be very different as you go through the data wrangling steps. So the chart, you want to create a chart at particular data on a particular data step, right? So that's why this pin feature is very important, and then this will allow you to have more flexible chart collections in one single dashboard. Okay, so that's a dashboard. I think that I think to me, again, it's about among all these topics in today's seminar, I think it's really the data wrangling is the key component for dashboard. Sometimes I get the questions of like, hey, I don't have any problem with data wrangling because the data I get is very clean, because I have IT guys cleaning up the data, so like I don't have any problem. And then, but so why do I need a data wrangling? Well, if maybe like 1 in a million chance, like you might have that kind of environment where somehow you don't even have to do the data wrangling. But most of the cases, even with a clean data, like you have seen, sometimes you might want to join 2 data sets so that like you can actually present like a more interesting or rich information in a one single chart. Or you might want to actually, even though the data is clean, but by combining, some set of the values together, then you can bring in like a kind of a different angle of seeing the trend and the correlation and so on. So not just cleaning the data wrangling doesn't mean cleaning the data. It's data wrangling can mean enriching the data or providing a different point of view of that data. Okay. So next topic, the visualizing variance and uncertainty. Uncertainty. So most of the BI systems, I used to be working at Oracle and then as a part of the team building a BI product one time. So I have seen, and also we acquired some other companies who happen to have the BI system as well. So I have seen like many BI systems from the inside out. But most of the BI system is basically designed to aggregate the data, meaning like the total or the mean, average, and so on. Aggregate the data by, let's say, country or regions or months and whatever that could be, and then like you visualize the data, the aggregated data by chart, bar chart, line chart, and so on. So it's really good at aggregation, based on the many years of the experience. However, in this data, if you have touch statistics or data science in the past, you would agree. So the data varies in this real world. It's not that simple as a mean or total. So then the problem is that aggregated data lose the very important information, which is the data variance, how the data distributed or varies, and also lose uncertainty in the data. So that makes it actually hard to see like, hey, these 2 groups are different or not different, or there's even like a correlation as your eyes can see or not, right? So what that means is, for example, just take the simple average. Let's say this guy is 23 years old, or sorry, this group's average age is 23. And then, when you hear the 23 years old, and they happen to be male or something, then you'd be like, oh, okay, maybe this particular, this kind of group or something. Like you expect something like 23, right? Whatever that could be. But then like you actually, that day comes and then like all the guests come to your room, come to your party, and it turned out mostly kids and then some very old gentlemen. Right. And then like this actually the average is 23 years old. So the mean or average or even a total sometimes doesn't really tell you much. Sorry, not the total. It's actually the mean or maybe like a ratio type of the data doesn't really tell you much unless you understand what type of the group inside the box. So to help you understand better for this, for not this type of data, but for any data, is to use particular type of the charts to visualize the data variance and also uncertainty. So histogram, density plot, box plot, error bar, and I'm sure there are other type of the charts as well, but I think these are very easy to start with. I'm not saying like you want to use all these charts, but like this is kind of like a starting point. Any chart is fine based on your needs. So, for example, in this case, I'm visualizing by using the bar chart and by the education level, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then like a length of the bar is the average monthly income for each group. Okay. So then when I see this, and then looks like as the education level increase, the monthly income increase. So when I get this chart, okay, wow, this is something to look at. Something like basically the correlation like that we are looking at here. So look at education, monthly income, those things are correlated each other, right? So, okay, that's great. So I want to present this in a PowerPoint. I want to present that in a dashboard and so on. But then if you use something like a box plot to see the data distribution, and then you don't really see that kind of difference. Well, there might be some difference, but distribution. By the way, box plot is from the bottom to the top is a mean and max. But what important is this box. The center line inside the box is a median, and then the box itself is that 50% from the median, so from the top to bottom. So that means basically like you can see like 50% of the data is where that is by just looking at this box. And then by just looking at this like a kind of bars, and then you can see from the mean value to max value range. But by looking at this, now it gives you a sort of like a slightly different picture. It's not as easy, simple as the education increase and the monthly income increases. And when you use something like a density plot, this is more like kind of like a histogram, right? Basically, like a x-axis monthly income, and then like what's the ratio, what's the percent of the people are, that is actually depicted by this each line. Okay, and then so when I look at it, for example, blue line is like a number 1, education level 1, and then the other with the 2, 3, 4. And then looks like education level 1 is a kind of like monthly income wise is kind of like a lower level, but are we okay to say like, hey, there's some difference between education level 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So, but still, like this kind of view gives you a different perspective from simple aggregation with a bar chart. And then now, if what you want to do is to make decisions of, hey, are these different? Education 1, 2, 3, are these, monthly income can be different or not, right? So that if that's the case, we're getting into a little bit more like ad hoc analysis, but you want to use something called confidence interval. So like I'm going to give you just a quick introduction of confidence interval. But let's say like where you have like average sales, like Japan and US, you're comparing these two. And then you say like, hey, you know what, like average sales Japan is higher. So like somehow something's, maybe like they're buying a higher item or something like that. But then like you would ask the question is like, hey, is this a significant difference or not? Or this is a marginal difference? Because this is the chart that I'm cheating because it actually doesn't start with a 0. It probably starts around maybe like 1,000 or something like that. So the difference get kind of like highlighted or extra exaggerated. But the key here is like, hey, that $300 difference is something that like, we should pay attention to or not, right? And then that's actually a hard question because this kind of difference, like you can find anywhere in your data. And the question is, which difference that we should focus? And what problem here is that when you behind the scene, it turned out like Japan had only 5 customers. And then US had maybe like 30 customers or something like that. And then you calculate the average and then you get this one. And most likely Japan might have that problem that we saw with like 4 little kids and 1 old gentleman, right? So what happened is if Japan happened to have like had 1 more customers with $100 sales the next day, and that will impact the average sales of Japan dramatically like this. Because you have only 5 people and then you added like 1 person, that 1 person will have huge impact in terms of the calculation of the average. So now, like if you have like 1,700, then there's not much difference between Japan and US. And in that case, like it was kind of stupid if you pay attention to this difference and then like you take action, you make a phone call to Japan or something like that. Then how about like US? Like if there's another person comes and then another customer came and then like this person spent $100 the next day. And how that average of the US will change? Well, it's not so much. And why? Because there are 30 people and then just one person, like the impact of this one person is very small as compared to impact of the one person on the only 5 people. Think of it as just drop the ink in a small glass or bucket or the bath or in the pond. Is impact is very different. Why? Because the amount of the water is there is different. So having said that, is there any way we can sort of like compare the average, in this case, the average sales for Japan, average sales for US, given considering the sort of the number of the people or number of the data behind the thing? Well, the good news is that's what exactly confidence interval trying to solve, right? So when you create a chart, something called error bar, and that will give you the option of like, to show confidence interval. Then you can see not just the average, the circle part is the average in this case, but the bar is the confidence interval. Most typically used is 95% confidence interval. What that means is 95% of the chance the true mean or average should reside within this range. But what it really means is that like if this confidence interval is overlapping, that means there's a difference in this particular data, but it can be that's not really significant. So it's not. It might be like a marginal difference because maybe like in this case Japan like has only like 5 or 10 people, so the data size is small. So if there's happen to be like randomly like 1 or 2% change, and then like the this average, the red dot or red circle can go up or down or something like that. So instead of comparing these two groups by the point, which is happened to be like average this time, but we compare by the ranges, then if the ranges are not overlapping, that means that difference is very significant. There's no less or very just a significant or no. But if it's overlapping, then unfortunately, like you might not want to waste your much time just digging into this thing. So, for example, in the last example, like education level and the monthly income relationship, well, looks like when you look at the average, this is like an error bar chart, and then there's a dot at the center of each line, each bar. Average is different, or means increase. Monthly income average is increasing. However, when you use this confidence interval range, and it's not like significantly different, it's still like when you compare between 1 and 4, which is the most left-hand side, the most right-hand side, there is a difference there. So it's not like there's no difference, but it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, like, and then like a salary actually keeps increasing or something. So what is the kind of error bar chart that will tell you, hey, there's some significant difference that you want to pay attention to? Well, for example, this is like total working years on the x-axis. And then it's bucketed by 8 years, 0 to 8 years, 8 to 16 years, 16 to 24 years, and so on. And then the average income is the y-axis. And then this one, okay, the bar chart, and then it looks like the bigger the working years, the longer the working years, the higher the monthly income. But this might be also, again, like maybe behind the scenes, there's not much data in a particular group. So how can I do? So like when you switch to error bar, and that's this is my is what you get. And then as you see, except the right-hand side 2 bars, but from the left-hand side, the first, second, third, fourth, the confidence interval is not overlapping at all. So this means from this data, we can say the difference between these bars are significant. So in a statistical term, but in a casual term, it's like, hey, there's a big difference there, or there's something that we can tell tell the others. This is something we should look at, right? So having said that, so this kind of stuff is called uncertainty, meaning when you look at the average, that's still because data varies, and then data size also different between the groups. So we can't really say, we are not sure. But by using the confidence interval with the error bar, that will help you make decisions of which relationship that you should pay more attention, you should prioritize. Anyway, so these are the 4 charts that help you visualize data variance and uncertainty. And I really strongly recommend when you build a dashboard, instead of using the bar chart is great. Anybody can understand it. But also, if it's better to present a different perspective as along with it. And hopefully, like, it depends on like a data literacy level of your audience. Like error bar chart is better, but maybe like you can use a density plot, box plot, histogram to go along with the bar chart. Okay, the next one is the ad hoc analysis. So when you have the dashboard and you find something wrong, and then like you want to dig in, like, hey, what is going on here? The why sales is increasing, why sales is low in this particular group, or something like that. Then like typically in the BI world, something called ad hoc analysis. And then like you're gonna go in, dive into, by using the charts and then see relationship and stuff, right? So here is a scatter plot. By the way, this scatter plot is also great for showing the variance and data distribution. But this one is really focusing on like sort of 2 numerical variables or 2 numerical columns. And the x-axis total working years, and the y-axis again is monthly income. So, and each dot represent each employee. Now you can see here is like, okay, it looks like when the total working years increase and the monthly income also increase. Okay, that's great. And then this part is okay. And then like when I change the x-axis to age, and by the way, the age and the working years are two different, similar, but it's different because like age is like you are 25, 35, 45, and so on. But the working years, if you quit the job and 35 years old and join another company, that means you're 35 years old, but the working years is 0. So these two similar, but different. Anyway, so here's the x-axis age, y-axis monthly income. And then, okay, here is that the top metric called correlation in the pop-up. Said 0.49, so 0.5 correlation-wise. The 1 is the highest positive correlations. 0 is nothing. -1 is the highest negative correlation. So there is some kind of correlation, but okay, so should I pay attention to this or not? That kind of stuff. And then also this data happen to have a bunch of variables, not just age and working years. There's something like, job levels or maybe like education level or the distance from the office and then all the other variables. Am I supposed to, look at every single thing by changing the x-axis, y-axis combination? And that's going to be like kind of hard. So in Exploratory, you can actually investigate something like that with the summary view. This part, I'm going to just quickly look at the data here. So I have this data. And then let's say like I got this view, x-axis is the age, y-axis monthly income. And then like I draw this like regression, trend line. But then I'm not, in a fun of like checking every single thing. So what I can do is actually go to the summary view. And if you're interested in the correlation, which probably the case, because the whole point of like doing the ad hoc analysis is that to find the related variables related to, in this case, the salary, but your case may be like a conversion rate or sales or cancellation rate, whatever that could be. But what are the variables have some impact on the particular thing of your interest. So in that case, you go to summary view and click on the correlate button. And then this is something called correlation mode. And then when you select, in this case, I'm interested in monthly income, and I want to see like which other variables have strong relationship with monthly income. Instead of going to the chart view and creating the chart for every single case, you can just select the monthly income. This will investigate the relationship with all the other columns. So what happened is I can see the relationship between the age and the monthly income. And how, as we have seen, the correlation is 0.49, but also like visually, I can see like what kind of relationship is between these two variables. And then I can actually sort based on the strengths of the relationship, the strengths of the correlation. So I use R square. I'm not going to go into this metrics, but I think of R square is the metric of how strong the correlation is. The 1 is the strongest, 0 is 0. Or it's actually squared value of correlation values. But anyway, so here the job level is the strongest and the job role is second, total working years third, and so on. So here's the age. Looks like age has some relationship, but there are 3 other variables have stronger relationship with monthly income. And the other variables are low, kind of a lower, less strong relationship with monthly income. So what does this mean? Well, that means you don't have to create a chart to visualize for every single combination. You can actually see all the charts being generated for all those variables that you want to investigate. So that's very time saving and also give you more information. So that's actually great. But one thing you got to be careful is that correlation and causation. Because, for example, this chart shows like from May, June, July, number of shark attacks increase, but also number of ice cream sold increases. So that means it looks like these two are correlated. And here's like, you know what, like I want to say, sell more ice cream. So that means maybe like I'm going to invite more shark and then into the beach and have them attack people and stuff. Well, so of course nobody do that, even if it's possible, because looks like these two are correlated. But however, if you know how the shark and ice cream things are nature, the temperature actually is the one that actually causing the increase of sales of ice cream and increase the number of the shark attacks. When the temperature increase, then the more people go into the ocean, so therefore like more chance to encounter with the shark. And then of course, like, intuitively, like, the hotter the day goes, and then you get people ice cream more. So this is a kind of things that like when you're creating the charts and a bunch of charts, and then you feel like what's going on, but then you got to be careful because there's something called confounding. So then how are you gonna address this problem? Well, I changed the position a little bit. Like temperature is now like right hand side bottom, but in order to see the effect that, for example, temperature has on shark attack or ice cream, that kind of stuff, right? So easy thing is basically like keep constant on one of the variables. Let's say like, like you observe like maybe like every day or every month or something, and then like see like the days like ice cream sale is the same, but the temperature is different. Let's say like a temperature increase, and then that day, really the shark attack, number of the shark attack increases or not. Or the other side too, for example, temperature is the same days, maybe like, without the 90 days or something like you probably have like same temperature days. And in that case, then the ice cream sales increase, and then like shark attacks also increase or not. If the shark attack increase on all those temperature is a 75 degree, every day 75 degree, and then like ice cream sales goes like from 100 to 200, and the number of the shark attack is increased. That's when you can actually say, actually, maybe it's not the temperature. It might have something to do with ice cream. I'm sure that there's no such case as long as I know, but you can investigate it that way. So that kind of stuff is something that something called multivariate analysis can help you organize this kind of relationship. And then in order to do such analysis, that you can use a statistical learning model, not machine learning model. For example, like linear regression, logistic regression, and so on. So this part too, like I want to quickly demonstrate how you do it. So for example, right now, like it looks like these stuff, these like a 3, 4, 5, 6, and it has some kind of relationship. Even like education looks like there's some kind of relationship. Although like correlation wise, it's very low. But how are these stuff like really impacting? Especially this age and the total working years. This seems like a kind of same information, right? Like even though like some people, their working years is 1 year, even though like 45, because this person just changed the job, they just joined this company. But still, in general, there are probably some relationship between these two variables. So then this maybe like monthly income and total working years relationship, this total working years, it's not actually total working years, it's maybe coming from age, or maybe this age and the monthly income relationship, not actually the age, it's actually the total working years is the one that actually matters, right? So something that's like that you can investigate. So whatever the columns, like let's say like I'm going to select these maybe 10 variable from the top, and then I want to see like how that is going to be impacted on the monthly income. I'm going to investigate that. So from the column header menu, I can just create a linear regression model. And then this will create a linear regression model under the analytics view. And what's really cool about that is when you go to the importance tab, and it will give you which variable has the most strongest or the more stronger relationship with monthly income. In this case, like our interest is this monthly income. And by just looking at this, we can relatively speaking, which one is more important. This y-axis value doesn't really mean anything. It's showing that which is more important in context of like comparing the other variables. So job level is way up compared to other variables, and the job role and total working hours is just a little bit, but other variable is almost like nothing, almost like it doesn't even matter. Okay, and even like a total working age probably doesn't even matter. And if when you see it here, job level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's very typical. Higher the job level is income is higher. Probably that's even the rules or something. So it's kind of like not that interesting, but still, it's not really the total working years, and it's actually the job level. That decides how much you get paid. But anyway, what is happening here is like this is holding other variables constant, and then what happened to each variable, and then that impact is basically telling you even other variable is the same value, but the job level is way stronger relationship with monthly income. And when you go to this prediction tab, this is actually prediction by each variable. When the other variable is the same, for example, job level, job role, start date, maybe age, business travel, all this stuff is the same. If it's the same condition, and then what happened, like when you have like 1 year, more total working years, 2 more working years, what happened? And this blue line is actually what's going to happen when every other things are same, right? I mean, in this case, it's only this 10 or 15 variables. So you can see that relationship. This is actually better than the summary view. Summary view itself is great because it's such a quick way to find a relationship. But this one is like, it's even stronger on steroid, because you can answer the questions like, hey, what happened like if the age is the same, and what only the total working is different, and how much of the salary income increase? You can answer that question with this view. So if you get into the ad hoc analysis, number one thing is that you got to deal with the uncertainty. It's just not just because you have the difference between an average or ratio, or you got to be careful. So about the uncertainty and then data variance. So I would recommend you use the error bar to visualize such a difference. And another thing is like, in order to find a correlation between the variables, it takes time if you have to create the charts for every single combination. So use a summary view to find those relationship at instant. But that's part, and the third part is important, is because causation and correlation are different. It's not like you can perfectly answer the causation questions, but at least you can organize, you can clean the relationship by building something like linear regression or logistic regression or statistical learning model. Okay. So that's the ad hoc analysis. Then the next one, the reporting automation. So once you get the dashboard, then it's great, right? But then the key is the whole point of creating a dashboard is you want to monitor, the conversion rate or sales or like a closing, rate or whatever that could be. You want to monitor, meaning periodically, constantly. So that means the next week or next month, you most likely you will receive new data. New data resides in a database, new data in Excel, or whatever that could be. New data keeps coming, right? So then you don't definitely want to build a new dashboard for that. You don't want to build a new chart for that. Instead, like you want to actually automatically create that dashboard. And in Exploratory, all you need to do is actually click on this like re-import data. When you check it and you click on Run button, then it will source the data from original data sources, and then have those data go through that data wrangling pipeline, and then regenerate the charts, and then regenerate the dashboard automatically. So you don't have to go one by one, or you don't have to repeat the same data wrangling step or anything. Just click the Run button. Okay. And then this is a desktop, so you can automate that within a desktop. But if you want to schedule it, you don't even want to click every day, then in that case, you can use our server, Exploratory server. And then what you do is like you want to publish your dashboard to Exploratory server, then you can see this schedule dialog. One thing to note, the data has to be somewhere that Exploratory server can access as long as you provide connection information, which means, for example, if the data somehow resides on your PC, there's no way Exploratory server can access to it. So you can't schedule. In that case, you want to keep, clicking the Run button on the desktop. But if your data is, sitting on AWS, Google Cloud, or even like Excel sheet somewhere like S3 or Microsoft Azure, whatever remotely, then you can schedule. And then the cool thing about it's not just schedule and then go to the website and then open the dashboard and see, but you can actually subscribe. If you're the author of this dashboard, you can click this button as part of the scheduling. Or if you invite others, then the others can click on this subscribe button in the dashboard menu. Then what's going to happen is every time this dashboard gets regenerated, let's say like every 6 o'clock in the morning, then you will receive the email with a screenshot. And I use this personally. So most of the dashboard I created or my team created it, I don't even go to the dashboard page. I just open the email in the morning and I can see the important key metrics and then call it a day. So that's very easy and to do. And this is, you can start right away. There's no extra license or subscription plan or anything like that. You can just publish and schedule, and then you receive the email. And then you can invite others, and then other folks, as long as they see this or they receive this email, it's a free account, so they don't have to pay. You don't have to pay for the, whoever you invite with. Okay. And then last not least is the collaboration. Any BI and dashboard project always like you never be just one single person. Although some project you happen to be just one single person, that you, but most of the case like you work with others to create the dashboards or create the charts and so on. So collaboration is a very key element for any BI and dashboard project. So first there is a team. You can create team from your account setting page, from your menu, and then there's a menu that says account setting, and you create a team and you invite others. So like whoever like you want to work with, and then once you invite and then you create a team. By the way, creating a team is free as well. And then you can use the team to share your dashboard with, so that you don't have to, let's say like you don't have to select 15 people for every single dashboard. And which is very important, because when you share dashboard, for example, like let's say you create 4 dashboards, you share with the sales team. And what happened is one of them quit or just go somewhere else, then you don't have to go to every single dashboard to remove that person. All you need to do is just remove that person from the sales team itself, and then the dashboard is shared with the team, so you don't have to touch on the dashboard. So that's team capability. And then also, like you can see, if you want to see all the insights under you or whatever the one that you created it, you go to My Insights. But you can go to the My Team to see all the insights created by your team as well. Okay, and then the project share. So that was like you publish a dashboard, share with others, and so on. But if you want to work and create dashboard collaboratively, I think you end up like wanting to share your projects. How that works? So sharing the project is basically the sharing the whole thing inside the project, not just the dashboard, but also the charts and the data wrangling step and all the data frames, whatever you have in your project. And then you click on the publish button, and then you publish that. And then most likely that you can publish individually. In that case, you don't do the collaboration. You just store the project on the server, which is sometimes useful if you're working on the multiple machines. But most likely you share the project as a team. And what's going to happen? Let's imagine like you are working with other 2 folks, so like you're 3 people team. You publish a project to the Exploratory server, and then other folks in the team will get the notification by email, and then something like this. And in that, one of them click the button and then download or import that project, and then make some edit, add the new chart or whatever, and then he can publish the project again. So then now the server side, the project version becomes 2.0, right? And then the other members in the team will get the email notification, and it's okay. So maybe like something updated the project, they can go to the project page and see the log, because when at the publish time, you can leave what you can leave the description of what you have done. And then after check that, get the email notification, then original person goes to Exploratory and then see this update button. Oh, okay, this particular project gets updated. So update at the server. So I want to bring that change here. Then you can click on this update button to get this project up to date. So creating the dashboard, or this particular seminar, I kept talking about dashboards. There's another one called Note, which is more like a report. Whatever that could be, it's important to work together with the other folks, and then like Exploratory provides best and scalable collaborative environment. Okay. So today, like I touch on these topics. Let me repeat this. Like first, I introduced what are the dashboard, but I think it's really among all these, to me personally, the most important thing is it's really the data wrangling. In order, without solving this problem, like you're creating a dashboard, it becomes only nightmare. So providing the best data wrangling, not just what you can do, but also how you can do. So the best environment for the data wrangling is a really key. And Exploratory provides the simple and easy to use UI to do so. And then visualizing the creating charts. This is sort of like visualizing variance, uncertainty, ad hoc analysis. This is not from the day one. Day one is like, hey, let's get the chart and the dashboard together, right? So, but once you get going, then I think this is the area that you want to look into, especially if you're creating the charts to help somebody make decisions, then like you got to take care of, give attention to uncertainty and also the difference between correlation and causation. And then the last 2 topics, first one, the reporting automation. The last thing you want to do is creating the same kind of dashboard report every single time. So automating that will save you tons. Not just you, but also other people who are waiting for that report. They can quickly get that by click of that button. And then last not least is the collaboration. So by sharing by creating a team and then publish as a team on sharing with the team, then you can create, you can make dashboard creation or maintenance experience more collaboratively. Okay. So that's it for the day today. We have released Exploratory version 6.11 recently. It comes with many bug fixes, but most importantly, many enhancements and new features as well. I have done the seminar. If you are interested in, please take a look at the past seminar. But you can download from our website, exploratory.io, and go to the download and then Exploratory desktop. And if you happen to be the public edition, using a public edition, then you click on download by signing in, then you will see the public download page as well. Okay. And also the online seminar, all the past recordings are available. So you can go to exploratory.io and go learn. And then under that, like you see like online seminar. And then there, like you can see all the past seminars as well. Okay, and also don't forget, we have a bunch of materials around how to tutorials, how to video. And also over the last few weeks, I keep adding more contents around how to as well. So please check those out. And then if you want to get updated then with Exploratory news, then the best way to do is follow the Twitter Exploratory data. Okay. And that's it for today. It's already the 1 o'clock, but hope you enjoyed it. And then I'm gonna open the Q&A session if you have any. But before getting the Q&A session, thank you so much for joining today's seminar. And we're gonna do something next week as well. And have a great rest of the day. Bye.